Yesterday, the GAO, the independent, nonpartisan congressional agency that's tasked with investigations and was tasked with reviewing this matter, concluded that, yeah, the Trump administration did, in fact, break the law when they withheld that money. That decision, said House Budget Chairman John Yarmuth, confirmed that President Trump broke the law by withholding critical security assistance for Ukraine. He said, quote, "This is only the latest proof that he brazenly and knowingly abused his power." Joining us now is the chairman of the House Budget Committee, Kentucky Congressman John Yarmuth. Congressman Yarmuth, Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for making time to be here tonight. I really appreciate it.
Oh, good to be with you, Rachel.
So I just ran down a little bit of the history of this part of the scandal. Let me ask you if I got any of that wrong or if events have overtaken me and I left out something important.
No, you got it exactly right. The Impoundment Act of 1974 prohibits the administration from withholding funds unless there's some kind of programmatic problem. For instance, if there were a grant program that Congress established and nobody applied for the grant, then obviously they couldn't disperse the funds. But dispense the funds. But other than that, the government is obligated, the administration, to spend the money Congress appropriates pursuant to our Article 1 powers. And if they don't, they have to come to Congress in advance and explain why they want to withhold the funding. Of course, they did none of that. What GAO said was that you cannot, definitely cannot, withhold funds based on policy. You can, under certain circumstances, again, the programmatic technicalities, you might, but when it's policy, you can't do that. The administration came back in response to the GAO report and said, we believe we have the right to withhold funds based on the president's priorities, which is policy. So basically, they're saying they don't agree with the law. Well, they could not agree with the law, but they have to abide by it. The problem we have is there's really no enforcement mechanism. We can impeach him, which we're doing, and obviously this is part of the entire scheme, which is part of the Article 1 charge, that he abused his power. In this case, he actually broke the law in abusing his power. So we're gonna be looking at ways to tighten down the Impoundment Act so that there actually are some consequences if the administration does something that's against the law.
Let me ask you about one of the sort of intriguing human dynamics behind this part of the story, which is that it does appear from the documents we've been able to see, from the testimony we got from people like Mark Sandy, that there were people at OMB working in the White House, there were people at the Defense Department, certainly, who seemed pretty convinced or seemed very worried that this was illegal, that this hold on this aid was not in compliance with the law and that there would be consequences when it became known, and those people raised concerns explicitly, committed them to writing, seemed to run those concerns up the chain as far as they could. And then we also see other Trump administration officials, political appointees, seeming to try to keep this quiet, seeming to try to keep this as something that wasn't getting widely circulated and wasn't being widely discussed after they'd been warned that it was illegal. That sort of culpability, perceived culpability for people who knew that they might have been furthering a criminal act, it just seems like people other than just the president did stuff that was wrong here.
Yeah, exactly. And there's another piece of evidence, too, in that normally what we call the apportionment letters, which actually has to go out when you dispense money or when you're delaying the dispense of money, are signed by career officials, career employees at the OMB. That was done to a certain point, and then they took it out of their hands and put it in the hands of a political appointee at OMB. They took it out of the normal process, and this was part of their, I think, again, a response to the fact they knew they were doing something wrong. They didn't want the career officials to have a hand in it. And we know there were wide reports that Mick Mulvaney also had asked OMB lawyers to see if they could come up with a legal justification for what they were doing. So they all knew they were doing something wrong. There was never any question about that. And they had... That was on the technical side, the legal side. On the policy side, there were people within the administration, the very high up in the military and the diplomatic sphere, who were arguing against it, saying it was bad policy, that we needed to actually put this money out so the Ukrainians could defend themselves.
Congressman John Yarmuth, chairman of the House Budget Committee, thanks for helping us understand this tonight. It is a dramatic thing to get a ruling that the president acted illegally in this scheme as his Senate trial is beginning, but it's helpful to have you clarify it for us, sir. Thank you very much.
Well, when Mick Mulvaney said he put half the people to sleep, maybe we put the other half to sleep, but it's a very important event.
Also, putting people to sleep is an important skill. America needs to sleep better.
Absolutely it is.
Thank
Sure
you, sir.
is.
Much appreciated.
Sure.
All right, we got much more to get to tonight. Stay with us.